The Cure, Disintegration. I won't take up too much of your time here. I did a video on 17 seconds that outlines my general thoughts on the group initially. And I really dig albums up to Pornography. I'm not as big a fan of the top. I wish I were, I guess. The Head on the Door I love. I don't mind them going poppy there because it still sounds like them. It's still a really interesting recording, I think. Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me is just the bubblegum nonsense. I don't need that. And a double album as well. Is that a joke? That's just an insult. It really is. So Disintegration. What do we make of Disintegration? Okay, so closer sonically to what we have on the Head on the Door prior, maybe excepting the neo-psych experiments of the top in 84. But what Disintegration decided to do is this ultimate apotheosis, this culmination of apparently of everything that the Cure were doing throughout that decade. Maybe if you want to include the first album, Free Imaginary Boys, in 1979 as well. Might as well. Disintegration is all production with some songwriting which is derivative of their previous work. But the production is very impressive. Open question here. Who listens to this album and is, like, phenomenally moved by it? And a serious question. I'm not trying to make fun when I ask this. Like, do you read novels as well? If it's a case of, oh no, I don't have the time for that, I'd rather just listen to a 50-minute album. Fair enough! But, like, I don't know, like, it's just, like... I don't know what Robert Smith is sad about. I know why Morrissey's sad. I don't think you're not allowed to be sad, you know, it's like... You don't even have to view the pop star, you know, talking in interviews. You can find out exactly, you know, it's pretty obvious that Morrissey is extremely anhedonic and depressed via the interviews you see with him. You can argue that, you could say whether that's right or wrong of him. But there is clearly something up with the guy's brain. He's not as happy as the average person. And I feel for the guy. Robert Smith, I'm just not sure what it is. He just comes across as like, I'd meet a kid my age who were like a bit younger than me. He'd just be like, oh yeah, I'm depressed. I'm just like, oh yeah, why is that? And he's just like, in his reasons, it's just like, oh, my parents don't understand. It's just very vague descriptions of how his parents don't understand him. And I'm thinking, these descriptions are too vague for them to be completely 100% accurate. You're leaving things out here. It's just a matter of, you're probably just upset that, you know, you're not so popular at school and your parents are in shitty moods sometimes because they feel like you're acting a bit ungrateful because, you know, they bust their ass trying to, you know, feed you and stuff. And I'm not saying you can't have any complaints, you know, but it's just like, that's just the situation. Like, they're not gonna think that your concerns about how your assignments are hard and the kids at school are nasty to you and on the internet. Like, they don't care, like, compared to, you know, it's like, I have to go to work from 7 to 5. Fuck you. Like, it's a thing. So I don't know why Robert Smith was so sad other than, oh, life isn't 101% perfect. And it's just like, it reminds me of all these guys I know my age, and they're just like, oh, you know, everything will be okay once I have a girlfriend. And it's just like, she doesn't exist. Like, this woman you're imagining isn't a real person. It's not even inspired by a real person. At best, it's inspired by some character in a manga written by a male anyway. Point is, Robert Smith reminds me too much of people who, my age, who I can't think of much better. Maybe they don't deserve a finer descriptor than spoiled brats. And I've known depressed people as well. I've known people who've suffered horrifying trauma. I know people who've suffered from, you know, intense abusive bullying, and I just can't help but feel that Robert Smith. I know maybe Robert Smith was brutalized at one of these during his schooling, but like, who wasn't back then? Why is Robert Smith so sad? He can't be the only vegetarian/vegan upset at the treatment of animals across the globe, surely. Maybe the richest. This album is all production, no substance. I'm sorry. There are people out there who adore this album. That's fine. I actually want to be one of them. If I wind up being one of them one day, that's awesome. I'd love to be able to miss something in this album that I can find later. Because, look, I don't want to dislike anything. I don't want to waste my time listening to anything if I don't have to. If I can like everything, that would be good. But, you know, like, there's a lot of crap out there, you know? It's like, it's difficult to enjoy Linkin Park, or Nickelback, or Coldplay, Muse even, Mars Volta, and many other 21st century acts that inundated my existence thus far, with their constant exposure in the mainstream, radio and television, the internet, other people. It's just too nauseating. Remember in early South Park, remember Mecha Streisand, when it's Kylie goes, because Robert Smith comes in to rescue everyone from Mecha Streisand, and he turns into Gamera or something, and then Kyle was all like, "Oh, Disintegration's like the best album ever, man," and it's just like, eh. I'd seen it say it about 17 seconds of faith. I remember listening to a South Park commentary where Matt and Trey were unironically talking about how, like, oh yeah, you know, around the time of this season, we're really into Creed at the time, and I'm thinking, you guys willing to admit that? Wow. But let's be kind to the Smith. Let's talk about what Smith has actually had to say about his persona. Although his public persona could be deemed to portray an image of despair, Smith has stated that his songs do not convey how he feels all the time. At the time we wrote Disintegration, it's just about what I was doing, really, how I felt. But I'm not like that all the time. That's the difficulty of writing songs that are a bit depressing. People think you're like that all the time, but I don't think that. I just usually write when I'm depressed. Just a quick fun anecdote I might share about Robert Smith's involvement with that South Park Mecha Streisand episode. He's quoted by saying, this is from an interview in 2007, I believe. I stayed up all night and went into this radio station and recorded my words down a phone line. I had no idea what it was all about. I had one of them on the other end of the line directing me, saying, "Please sound more like Robert Smith. Come on." About 6 months later, I saw it and I was completely thrown by what they had done with it. I'm enjoying the production, I'm not enjoying the songs as much. Simple as that. The lyrics don't move me, although the sonics almost are. It's the idea of The Cure as a marketing machine in people's eyes, about being The Cure, which were taking an established sound pioneered by Joy Division, or using the Banshees or the sound and just kind of making it their own more so, and really going the full gamut with it and turning it into the gothic rock subgenre as we know it today, whether they refer to it or like that term or not. It's how we see it. It's how we hear it. I just wish Disintegration had more songwriting imagination. We're considering that they were totally okay with putting a double album out of Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. One can assume that the well had possibly ran dry by this time. So pour gasoline, I'll burn easier. And if you all love this album, more power to you. You probably think I'm just some fool. Yeah, maybe one day I'll agree, but for now, man, I'm kind of... for now, I get to maybe halfway or 3/4 through the album and I start checking out how long the songs are going for and how many tracks I have left. I hate to admit it, but, you know. But what do I know? All I know is that I don't find this album nearly as enjoyable, insightful, or overall moving as I would really, really like it to. Or any album to, for that matter. But I'm impressed with it to a point. As a production, yeah, great job, guys.